It was very normal for people to think that my dad was my boyfriend where I grew up, because that sort of dynamic between the older white guy with the exotic younger woman is seen as just a perk of social status. In the media, this dynamic is often framed as having a French bulldog if you can afford one. And Mike White in the White Lotus season punctures some of the misogynistic judgment around that trope. And that's where Chelsea and Chloe's characters come in. So everyone has a story that they tell, right, when they're at the bar about how they met the person that they're with. And these relationships in the show have a surface level social identity, right? Or a social story that fits a norm or a script. So every relationship has a public story, but the private story is the one that is revealed through personal interactions. We get that. Typically in media, this trope of the young, gorgeous woman with the older, rich white guy, it's played a bit flatter, right? The women are superficial, they don't know any better, they're helpless, that sort of thing. When we first meet Chelsea, who's a young yoga instructor who's enamored by her much older boyfriend, Rick, we get the vibe from the boat that everyone's judging her. They know the story, right? He's rich, she's young, she's getting to see the world, she's never seen anything before. Thank God she's with him. He has money, she has youth, it has to be transactional, unlike them. This is something we see immediately on Parker Posey's character, Victoria Ratliff, wife to Timothy Ratliff, who is a financier. She judges this immediately. She thinks that she's better because she's married, and her husband is better because he's married to a woman of his age. Of course, the irony of this is as the story goes on, we realize she wouldn't have married just anybody either, right? She was looking for a man who would provide a certain level of privilege, status, and money to her as well. She provides to Timothy propriety and a sense of status as a good Southern wife. But her husband can't even tell her that they're on the verge of losing everything because he knows she can't support him, she doesn't back him up, and she doesn't support him in a real life way, not emotionally. Even married to Victoria, Timothy is more alone than Rick is. These women like Victoria, they want what they think that Chelsea wants, right? Wealthy men who provide status for them. But they believe that it's for them who've played the rules and live in a way of propriety, right? It's not for these girls who they resent for skipping the line or not playing by the game. But Chelsea is not alone for long. She meets Chloe, who is also dating a mysterious, rich, older white guy, and they have a bond over that and this sweet little interaction because they both have unique teeth. I love this personally because our family dentist never encouraged any of us to get braces or do anything to our teeth, so that was cool. But even as these fast friends develop this kinship, it does not extend to their philosophy on dating. Chelsea reveals that she's a romantic. She's with Rick because she wants to mother him, she wants to save him, and she loves him. That's her soulmate. Chloe pushes back on this, and she tries to warn Chelsea, hey, everyone I know who is a romantic, they've ended up brokenhearted or broke. Chloe accurately clocks Greg/Gary as someone who could do harm to her if she did not please him or if she upset him. She sees him with a clear-eyed vision. This is an old guy who keeps her around for his own entertainment. This is an arrangement that depends on money and people having fun. Is there some of that with Chelsea in that obviously Rick is attracted to her, they have fun, she keeps him young, that sort of thing? Yes, true. Chelsea doesn't threaten Rick, and all their push and pull, he is solidly in charge of his actions, but he does have this sense of tethering through her. Chelsea provides for him this grounding because he sees himself as a nothing. Chelsea provides an emotional support that Chloe can't because Rick is also, with all his mystery and pain, someone who doesn't really necessarily belong in this world even though he has the money. She is also one of the few, if not the only guest at the resort who treats the staff normally, or at least with friendliness, even if it's a little over friendly, and doesn't see any point in trying to jostle with the high status guests. There are multiple points where different people come up to either Jacqueline or they come up to the Ratliffs and they try to say, hey, we have a connection, like look at us all here. She doesn't do that. She actually turns down Saxon's advances and can't stand him. No matter how many times he endangers her, Chelsea's here for Rick. In episode 5, when Chloe is encouraging her to just find somebody else and have fun, she talks about how devastated she would be if Rick cheated on her and how she could not even imagine cheating on Rick. This is why it's so hurtful when he tries to insult her and push her away by saying, you should just find some older white guy to mooch off of. And she takes that personally because that's not what she's here for. Both Chelsea and Chloe approach their relationship for different reasons and they complicate this stereotype. Chloe is much more shrewd and determined. This is a business deal for her. She is deeply aware of her situation. She's aware of her age, she's aware of her beauty, and she's aware of how she moves about in this world. She knows she has consented to a sketchy situation and what the trade-offs are. She might also be the recipient of Victoria's judgment, but she's far more self-aware of the economic and social place she occupies and does have a self-critical awareness of this that Victoria completely lacks. Chloe has far more awareness of her place in the world, and she also accurately clocks who the men in her circle are, what they are about, and what they do. Victoria has this level of delusion, and she cannot clearly see her son or her husband. When Victoria is visiting Chloe and Greg/Gary on the boat, she's running around asking these young Thai women with these older white guys, "Where's your ring?" and asking the men, "When are you going to put a ring on it?" She is passing judgment on these men and these women as if Saxon is not teaching the same things that these men are doing to her precious little Lachlan. Thailand is a country where a lot of wealthy men go specifically to exploit less economically advantaged women. For all the judgment that is levied toward these two young, white, beautiful girls about their relationships with men, there is no serious acknowledgement or reckoning of the economy that is created by these men for this to even exist in the first place. The joke Saxon made, the judgment that the trio of women pass on these women, and the faces Victoria pulls, they're about disgust for the women. But where is that disgust for the men who create this economy? And in that disgust, what they blind themselves to is the incredible amount of resilience, agency, exploitation, plotting, and confidence of women who are trying to just navigate a very dangerous world. And should we be surprised that people who don't have any character or cannot critically assess their own fail to see that character in somebody else? I guess not. It might have been too much to ask of these guests.